Okay, now on to the fun stuff, getting traffic up and going. Essentially, what it's going to look like when you're done and operational um, is you're going to have a traffic dashboard, and you'll be able to go to the routes and see basically all the routing that you have. What's really nice about the way we're doing it is that we're leveraging ingress routes. So you just essentially you have a separate YAML file that says, hey, I want you to route this to this service within Kubernetes. And so what's nice about that is that it makes it a lot less burdensome than it has been to configure all this in the past. Another thing that is important about the way that I've got this configured, and I would strongly recommend you do this because it, again, makes it dramatically better, is that we are not using Let's Encrypt. We are not doing any of that Let's Encrypt encryption and having to certify every 90 days and email addresses and all that. Like, we have jettisoned all of that in favor of leveraging Cloudflare to do that. So let me pause and I'll go into Cloudflare and show you what I mean. So I'm in the main domain that I used for setting all this up, BizBridge, and what you do essentially is you set up the TLS here to full strict, and what this is doing is this is encrypting end to end, but it requires a Cloudflare origin certificate on the server. And then you're going to go to origin server here, and you're going to make sure you're going to create a certificate, and you're going to set it with, a wildcard and then the root. The plus of this is that now all of the encryption is happening kind of Cloudflare forward, and you don't have to deal with that on your side at all anymore. The other side is that it's using a very long expiration certificate. This certificate expires in 2038, and it's 2023 as I record this. So that's quite a long time versus every 90 days with Let's Encrypt. So, and you want to make sure authenticated origin pools is turned on here. And so that's basically what we're doing. And so anything that is www.bizbridge or www. Whatever. And by the way, other domains actually can flow through this as well using CNAMEs, and so or even A addresses. And so this has worked, seems to be working pretty darn well. So that is the Cloudflare side. One second. Now, in terms of configuring traffic, I leverage this article, but you're going to skip over all the stuff here, and you're going to start basically here at deploy traffic. And essentially, what you're going to create is you're going to leverage Helm, which is a package manager, to deploy the core. And then you're going to set values to basically set the other config here. The other thing is this one here. This is where I got that Cloudflare configuration using full strict. And this, again, it's dramatically better. I didn't look at this in Cloudflare, but basically you just set the root IP and you have to set it to proxy, but to your IP address from the load balancer, and star to the load balancer. And that is basically it. It's pretty straightforward. So let's look at how I configured traffic. So basically, the gist of what I do is I have a values, and in the values, I got this out of that config. The key here is that your name here needs to match the needs to match the config in where is it? Oh, if you set it here. If not, it'll be configured as external load balancer. So, but that name needs to match up. And then in a second, we'll talk about the keys. The keys need to match up as well. But this is to install Helm. So obviously before this, you would Helm, repo add, and you give it a name and the repo address, and then Helm repo update, and then you would run this to install. Obviously, you want it to be in the same network. Use private IP as true, and the network zone is the same, right? So, but otherwise, this is the same config that was literally in the link, the video or the article that I linked to. And so you essentially install traffic with those annotations, and these annotations are the thing that basically maps it to the Hetzner load balancer. So now traffic is essentially connected to your load balancer. And then what you can do is you can then type hcloud. We didn't talk about this before. This is the first time we're running into this, but part of the brew file is that I also install the hcloud CLI. The plus of this is that it allows you to do queries of the cloud outside of your cluster, right? So you can get IP addresses, you can see what you have there, what resources are available, see what the naming is for, Falkenstein versus Nuremberg, that kind of thing. And so, we can say hcloud load balancer list, and it's an important thing to say that the production API, this one is going to be the one that is produced originally. You're going to have two load balancers, one for the API for Kubernetes and one for everything else, basically. And so you'll be able to see your load balancer there, and then you can then check for services to make sure that your traffic service is up and running, and that's exactly what it should look like, and you're good to go there. As I mentioned, you're going to set up this strict encryption mode, and then you're going to when you go into Cloudflare, let me get over there. The certificate that we looked at here is basically what you're going to download. You're going to have two parts to it. You're going to have the key and the secret. And you're going to save those files. I saved them in here. So basically I have the TLS certificate and the key. And then you're going to you're going to basically merge them into your Kubernetes environment. And what's important is that whatever this name is, it needs to match the one that is in the next step, which is your secrets file, where you say, okay, here's the secrets that I'm using for this end-to-end encryption. And so when this term matches the secrets, when you create them, then you're going to apply this, and then you're going to build your ingress. And your ingress basically will reference those secrets in your system. And this is that's the essentially the gist of it. It was really hard to figure. I had a hard time figuring this out. Maybe you wouldn't, but you install the Helm chart. That requires no configuration. You basically then go get those TLS certificates. You push them into Kubernetes. That's the second step. You then write those secrets. You apply the secrets to the config, and then you apply the ingress to the Helm chart, but essentially mapping those two together. And once you've done that, you should be able to go to traffic dot whatever your domain name is, and you should be able to see this dashboard up and running through your server, coming off of your Kubernetes cluster, and all of that. And that is setting up the front-end load balancer using Traffic, modern version of Traffic, and Helm charts. So with Cloudflare as the front end, with a certificate, where you have a single certificate, management Cloudflare, 12-year expiration, no Let's encrypt or anything like that. So if you have any questions about that, let me know.